Here is a question for all of you. What are the Egyptian god cards' actual effects in the anime?
My Egyptian god cards possess powers far beyond mere monsters. They what?
Believe it or not, the answer to that question isn't as simple as you might think it is, because while a lot of people might know the gist of what the Egyptian god cards can do, their effects were scattered so far out from the series and were mentioned so vaguely that pinning down exactly what they can do in their entirety is not as easy as it sounds. And you know what doesn't help the situation? The fact that their anime effects aren't actually written anywhere or fully stated in the show. They're nowhere to be seen. The best you get are these extremely vague descriptions written on the Japanese god cards. Let's look at these first, shall we? For Slifer the Sky Dragon, or Osiris the Heaven Dragon as it's known in the Japanese, well, its card says, every time the opponent summons a creature to the field, the point of the player's card is cut by 2,000 points. X stands for the number of the player's cards in hand. Awkwardly worded, let's admit it, but the more important thing is, nowhere on this card does it mention that if a monster's attack points are reduced to 0 or its defense is reduced to 0 from Slifer's effect, you can destroy that card. It's not written on here, so where did that come from? We'll get to that in a minute. Obelisk the Tormentor, known as Giant Divine Soldier of Obelisk in the Japanese. The player shall sacrifice 2 bodies to God of Obelisk. The opponent shall be damaged, and the monsters on the field shall be destroyed. The opponent shall be damaged. My, that's vague. By how much, anime? 100? 1,000? 10,000? Also, another thing to note, neither one of these monsters have had any of their protection abilities mentioned at all as well. Who do we have left to look at? Well, the Winged Dragon of Ra. And oh boy, his effects. First of all, it's written in an ancient text that has to be deciphered first. Once you've broke through that barrier, it reads, Ra shall take the power from the 3 sacrifices. But even if the offering is to Ra's liking, it shall only answer to the one who speaks the sacred words. When the means of resurrection are granted to it, Ra shall come forth from the earth, and those who face it in war shall be incinerated in flames. In an instant, Ra shall become a phoenix, and the enemies of Ra shall return to the earth. That's a lot to unpack on there, but to be fair, we have covered all of the bases with Ra's effects. Like, everything is mentioned here. It's just not gone into enough detail is what the problem is, especially for a competitive card game. I know I'm joking about the vagueness of these effects, but that's actually kind of a good thing, because to me the god cards weren't completed until they were given to their respectful owners. When Yami Marik, when Seto Kaiba and Yugimoto got their cards, they read the descriptions of their cards, and what they read they interpreted into their own sort of gameplay and mechanics kind of thing. What do I mean by this? Well, for Marik, for example, he probably felt after reading Ra's effect that requiring a sacrifice, and one that is worthy, could also mean his very own life points, as what's more worthy than that? So Marik's interpretation of Ra's ability was that he could also sacrifice himself to boost the power of his monster. Well, what about for Kaiba and Obelisk? Well, the phrase, the opponent shall be damaged, it's Kaiba, so damage should equal to him an instant win. So Obelisk, therefore, can deal 4,000 damage, which is how much life points people typically had in the anime, and as well, it's the same power as Obelisk's attack, because this effect normally went off when he attacked. And finally for Yugi, well, when he read Slifer's effect, he saw it and he thought that it made sense if a monster had all of its attack or defense points taken away, then most likely it should be destroyed as a result, because there's nothing left to it. And then of course, these cards are divine beasts, typing, divine attributes. They're going to be a little bit better than the rest of the cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. So as such, they shouldn't be affected by them, they shouldn't be hindered by them. Spells and traps, well, they should only work for probably like 1 turn, right? And then over the course of the anime series, we see little bits and pieces of a couple little extra effects that each of the monsters gets. For example, Obelisk the Tormentor sacrificed 2 monsters, got unlimited attack, so I guess he can either deal 4,000 damage or get infinite attack, depending on the situation. Slifer, at one point in the series, is special summoned in defense position during the battle phase, and Yugi explains because this has happened, the attack is redirected to hit, and in the context of the episode, that saved Obelisk the Tormentor. However, we know this isn't just a Slifer exclusive ability, as Obelisk the Tormentor also does this, and so does Ra to a degree. So this Heavenly Protection is a universal ability that all three gods share. The Winged Dragon of Ra, oh boy, don't get me started on that. If it is special summoned from the grave, it has two different abilities. It can either become basically a fusion monster, where you fuse with yourself and all your life points go into that monster. But worst case scenario, if you're about to lose, you can activate defusion, because technically it's a fusion monster and you can split your life points back into yourself and have Ra on the field with no attack points. So that's an option if you want. You could also summon it into a Phoenix form, which makes it invulnerable to everything and can incinerate one monster on the field. Spell and trap cards that try to destroy the Egyptian gods, well, that's not fair. The gods are greater than this, so they don't work on them. However, any other spell or trap card that is used that doesn't specifically destroy the gods, they can affect them. However, because they're gods, let's just say they only work for one turn. However, as a result of this, cards used by the owner, like Monster Reborn, if they bring back an Egyptian god, well, that effect will only affect it for one turn, so it has to go back from wherever it came from during the end phase. So we've just watched through the whole anime, we've seen all these different effects of what the Egyptian gods can do and what they can't do. How does the TCG and OCG bring these cards into reality? The three strongest cards in existence, what are they like in the real world? Each one requires 3 tributes to be normal summoned, and cannot be normal set. Their normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summoned, cards and effects can't be activated in response. Once per turn, during the end phase, if they were special summoned, send them to the graveyard. Sadly, this last effect does not apply to Ra. For some reason, Ra can't be special summoned in the TCG and OCG. However, what are their individual effects? Slifer's individual effect is it gains 1000 attack and defense for each card in your hand. If a monster is normal or special summoned to your opponent's field in attack position, that monster loses 2000 attack. Then, if its attack has been reduced to 0 as a result, destroy it. Obelisk's individual effect is neither player can target this card with card effects. You contribute 2 monsters, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. However, this card cannot declare an attack the turn this effect is activated. Ra's individual effect is when this card is normal summoned, you can pay life points so that you only have 100 left. This card gains attack and defense equal to the amount of life points paid. You can pay 1000 life points, then target one monster on the field, destroy that target. Looking at these effects, you can see they covered the basics of what the Egyptian gods could do in the anime. However, so much is cut out, especially for the Winged Dragon of Ra. Some things that I like that have translated over is the fact that their summons can't be negated. Great. No cards or effects can be activated in response to their summons. That is also really good. However, only Obelisk the Tormentor is untargetable. I feel like this should have been for all 3 as well. There's loads of ways you can get over these monsters. Just at least make them untargetable. The fact that Ra can't be special summoned is a huge hit as well. Like, I don't know what they was thinking. But what's worse is the fact that the 3 tributes that you use to make up this monster don't increase its attack is ridiculous. Because you have to funnel all your life points into this monster. You'll have 100 life points left, and its final ability, its Phoenix form ability, is completely useless, because you won't have 1000 life points. And while we're going in on all of them, we might as well go in on Slifer as well. The fact that that doesn't reduce monsters summoned in defense positions as well, that's so annoying. Now, of course, if you want all these cut effects, they are actually available. However, you need to now turn to the new Egyptian God support cards, which through things like Ancient Chant, Thunder Force Blast, Phoenix Mode, Sphere Mode, and all the others, they give you a sample of what it is like to actually wield an Egyptian god on the field. So, what I'm trying to say here is that the TCG and OCG, unfortunately, don't give us a great look at what these gods are capable of. So with that in mind, through the power of research on the internet, watching through the anime, asking some of you guys on Twitter, and of course, checking the manga, I have created what I think are the definitive effects of the anime Egyptian god cards. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's start with the God card's shared effects. This is something that all 3 are able to do. First of all, each possesses a hierarchy level. This determines whether they are immune to effects and damage from those beneath them in the hierarchy. This hierarchy is actually explained in the anime and manga, and it's basically a pyramid. Ra sits at the top with a divine hierarchy level of 2. Slifer and Obelisk sit beneath it as divine hierarchy levels 1, while all other monster cards are effectively classed as having no divine hierarchy, or a divine hierarchy level of 0. What this means is that the effect of Slifer and Obelisk the Tormentor do not work on Ra, since it's above them. The effects of Obelisk and Slifer will work on each other, since they're of the same level. However, that will be for only one turn. And the effects of all other monsters beneath these monsters, well, basically, they can't do anything to the god cards. Monster effects don't work on any of them. Following this, all 3 gods require 3 tributes in order to be normal summoned or set. Your opponent cannot tribute them. Control of them cannot switch. The opponent cannot equip cards to them. They are unaffected by spell and trap effects that would make them leave the field. However, any other spell or trap effect will last until the end phase. They are unaffected by monsters' effects, except for monsters of the same or higher divine hierarchy. They cannot be destroyed by battle, and the wielder will take no battle damage from battles involving them, except if a monster battled was of the same or higher divine hierarchy. If they are special summoned in defense, when your opponent declares an attack, you can switch the attack target to that special summoned monster. Finally, if they are special summoned, they return to the location they were special summoned from during the end phase. Alright, let's move on now to the Egyptian gods' individual effects. Starting with Slifer the Sky Dragon. Divine Hierarchy Level 1. The original attack and defense of Slifer becomes equal to the number of cards in your hand times 1000. If a monster is summoned face up to your opponent's field, reduce that monster's attack or defense by 2000, depending on its position. If that monster's attack or defense is reduced to 0, destroy that card. Obelisk the Tormentor. Divine Hierarchy Level 1. When this monster declares an attack, you can apply one of these effects. Quick effect, you contribute 2 of your monsters, except Obelisk the Tormentor. This card's attack becomes infinite until the end of the damage step. Quick effect, you contribute 2 of your monsters, except Obelisk the Tormentor, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of this card. Then, destroy all monsters they control. The Winged Dragon of Ra. Divine Hierarchy Level 2. This card's attack and defense become the total attack and defense of the monsters tributed for its tribute summon. If this card is special summoned, you can transform Ra into one of these 2 modes and gain their effects. Fusion Mode. Pay life points so that you only have 1 left. This card gains attack and defense equal to the amount of life points paid. Also, it gains these effects. This card is treated as a fusion monster. If defusion targets this card, apply instead, Ra loses its fusion mode effects and its attack and defense becomes 0. Then gain life points equal to its lost attack. Quick effect, you contribute any number of your monsters. This card gains attack and defense equal to the total attack and defense of the monsters tributed. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls, once each. Then, after that, if there are no monsters left on the field, it can also attack directly. Any effect that would increase the user's life points is instead changed to increase this card's attack and defense. Phoenix Mode. This turn, this card is unaffected by other card effects. Also, you take no battle damage from battles involving it. When this monster declares an attack, quick effect, you can pay 1000 life points, then target one other monster on the field. Send it to the graveyard. So if you put it all together, this would be Slifer the Sky Dragon's full anime effect. This would be Obelisk's, and this would be the Winged Dragon of Ra's. Now try and fit that into a Yu-Gi-Oh card effect box. And with that, those are my definitive anime effects of the Egyptian god cards. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. If you think there's anything that I missed, also let me know in the comment section below. I should probably also mention this. Allegedly, each of the gods also has a second typing as well, alongside their divine beast type. Slifer is also a dragon, Obelisk is also a warrior, and Ra is also a machine. And the only evidence for this is that some games gave them these typings, and one time Buster Blader considered Slifer the Sky Dragon as a dragon and got an attack boost because it was there. I don't like it that much. If you want to add that onto their effects, you can, but I don't think this one counts because it's a bit funny and they never talk about it, so I'm not into it. But other than that, thank you all for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Catch you later. Bye, everyone.